I originally started with drawing and painting. I was always drawn to fine details and recreating fine detail. I was 17 years old when I discovered SLR photography, and I never looked back. First it was a passion, which then became a career. I spent years working in dark rooms, assisting other photographers, and then freelancing as a photojournalist. It was still a passion, and now it had become my job. That work was fascinating. It was an incredible adventure. It allowed me to go to places and see different types of people and cultures. And I feel very lucky to have seen and experienced the things that I've done so far in my life. I changed direction with my photography because I was drawn back to that acute attention to detail, to try and perfect that balance of light and form. And advertising and product photography is the ultimate test of lighting and working with form and trying to recreate atmosphere and emotion through controlled light. I've been fortunate enough to have sustained that as a successful career. When I was younger, I used to play with magnifying glasses and lenses or telescopes, and I was always fascinated by optical instruments. I actually, when I was a kid, I had my own microscope, and it was one of those inspiring moments. It was an inspiring device for me. It gave me a sense of discovery through imagery. The courses and training started simply because I love talking about photography. I love imparting my knowledge and what I've learnt and passing that on to others so that they can enjoy it too. That for me is almost as fascinating as shooting and photography itself. There is a great satisfaction in knowing that thousands of people have discovered photography or the art of photography through my lessons. Even with the success of my training courses, I'm still searching for the next picture, that next idea, that next frozen moment. I have ideas for my images that just come into my mind. I try to be original with my work, and when I get an idea, I usually sketch it down and try to recreate it later. Sometimes I take inspiration from other photographers, from masters and modern masters, and other times I take inspiration just from my own observations of life and the world around me. Knowing people have connected with my images is a great feeling. To think that someone has given up their time to study what you've made is very humbling. And photography is very influential in that way. It's a positive way for expressing ideas or describing a moment. And there have been images that have changed the world and people's behavior towards the world. That's not something to be taken for granted. We must nurture that skill, and I'm proud to be helping people develop those skills. I've always made pictures the way that I feel they should be. Almost an instinctive process, sometimes a more meticulous planned process, but always based on a feeling. I visualize the light and position the light, and then I try to recreate an emotion. Light is an invoker of emotions. Everything you see around you, it constantly has you in a state of varying emotion, and light plays the biggest part in that, in influencing your emotions. I look at light and I analyze it. I can be sitting in a cafe and looking at a glass of water, studying the refraction of light onto the table. I'm looking for that emotional response that's connected with that light. I'll sometimes be playing with objects and looking at them from different angles, and my wife will say, "What are you doing?" But I'm studying detail. I'm studying light. And my daughter, she's fascinated with light too. She plays with light, refracts it through objects. And my son, he's amazed already as a small boy, he's already amazed by sunsets. I really hope that they have that same feeling and curiosity in the future. There's just something about the moment. It's there, you're there, the moment is there, and then it's gone. And you can't bring it back, but you can keep it. You can keep it visually. And that, to me, is just fascinating.